as to what's going on now. Okay, I'm just going to ignore that problem and hope that the rest of things work. So, I'm Timothy Hobbs and I'm doing another live stream of Veganbuddies development. Veganbuddies is an app that we're developing in Ochi, a Czech nonprofit, that is intended to make it easy for new vegans and people that are interested in becoming vegans to connect with experienced vegans who can aid them in their vegan journey. And what I've done so far is developed kind of a roadmap for developing the app. There's going to be 3 main components of the app itself, which I haven't developed yet, but is going to be based off of the Matrix client Fluffy Chat, because the most complicated aspect of the app is the ability to chat with vegan mentors. And the second part of the app, or the second part of the development, is the Matrix bot that'll allow you to look up, or allow the app to look up mentors in their area by geographic location. And the third part of the roadmap is developing an adaptation of the Lobster's messaging board system for the purpose of creating an invite tree of mentors, so that mentors have to be invited in order to become mentors, and those who and they can invite other people to become mentors. And if you invite somebody, then you're responsible for that person, basically. So Lobsters already has this invite tree built, and what we need to do is we need to make it so that the app can figure out if a person is actually invited to be a mentor, if they've been approved as a mentor. And also, I guess the Matrix bot should be able to figure out if somebody is a mentor or not by going and asking the Lobster's service. So if I'm not sure what's going on. My key combinations aren't working. Emacs. Last week I was working on the adaptation of the Lobster's server, and what I had done so far was simply set it up so that I could develop the Lobster's server locally in Docker, and also I made it easier to invite people, because previously that possibility was somewhat by the wayside. You had to go into settings in order to invite people, and now there's a nice big invite link at the top. Docker compose up. So right now I'm launching the Lobster's server, and I forgot which port it's going to be serving the thing to, so I'm trying to look that up. But it seems to me there's this, I didn't actually configure this, and it seems to me like the port isn't actually defined here. Wait, 3000 maybe. Localhost 3000. And I need to wait for it to start up properly. Okay, so I added this invite link right here where you can go and you can invite people by to be mentors. So I'm the first mentor on this test server, and then I can send an invitation to somebody else. Also, of course, it works as a messaging board. I can add new threads by going submit and submitting a new thread, and people can discuss things, or the mentors can discuss things, to be specific. But the invitations are the important part. And this, once somebody has become a mentor here, so they'll start out, the flow for becoming a mentor is that they start out by getting an invite from somebody, and then they have an account here, and then they'll install the Veganbuddies app, and then they'll use the OAuth OAuth authentication flow to authenticate themselves in the app against this service. And I created a kind of diagram. No recent documents. Maybe I didn't save it. But I created a diagram last stream showing how that was supposed to work. I guess I didn't save that diagram though, unfortunately. And the virtual machine crashed between then and now. So the OAuth workflow is going to look like, as I get out the tablet and redraw the very simple diagram. So there's the app here on the cell phone. Is going to have like a login with lobsters button. And that button initiates the OAuth workflow. And that gives us a key, a JWT token, or something like that. And then when so first you like say I'm a mentor by pressing on this button in the Veganbuddies app. And then it goes to the lobster server and gets a token. And then when the person logs into Matrix, so there's another service here, that's Matrix server. From logging into Matrix, it finds out, after it logs into Matrix, it finds out the username of the person. So this is at username. So this would be step number 1 is, I should probably make it bigger, shouldn't I? Step number 1 is logging into the Lobster server to find out, to get access as a mentor. Step number 2 is logging into Matrix. And then step number 3, after we've logged into Matrix, I should probably make that text bigger. Again. Step number 3 is that we go and we send the username and the JWT token to the Lobster server. And then step number 4 is, well, I guess then step number 4 is that we send to Matrix. So this would be step number 3. Step number 4 is that we send to, I mean, I'm not going to draw the arrows as being like through, but I'm going to send through Matrix to the Matrix geographic So this is Matrix again, and the via Matrix, and I don't remember what it was called, but Matrix Geographic User Index. So we send the link to the lobsters, or we just tell it, hey, a mentor has been signed up, or look at this mentor. I think that's the flow that we need. I'm not sure if the notification should come from the app or from the Lobster server. I think that's a pretty important decision. And the reason why I would send it from the app is not that I need the app to be able to do that, but more that I don't want to make a lot of changes to the Lobster server. I wasn't recording. That's bad. Okay, and then I will so I send it to the it's via the Matrix server to the geographic user index from the app, just because it's easier to make changes to the app, which I'm already writing from scratch, than it is to make changes to the Lobster server when I want the Lobster server to be as close to stock as possible. So now I obviously I haven't started writing the app yet, and I haven't gotten Flutter working yet. So I'm going to start off by trying to implement this OAuth flow. Wait. So this OAuth flow, and on the Lobster server side, I don't know exactly how I'm going to test it, but I'm going to set up the OAuth authentication thing literally just based off of how should I do it? Like, I guess there's two ways to do it. One is to not use auth at all and use basic auth against the lobster server. Not sure if there's a good reason not to do that, actually, because well, I guess that it's really confusing to users that they would have to figure out that like there would be potentially a different password for the lobster server and the matrix server. But I don't know how to avoid that. Like, I would have to run my own matrix server that supported lobsters as an OAuth provider. And so, like, by doing the OAuth flow with the lobster server, it would automatically, create the. It would automatically log into Matrix. Like, that would be ideal, obviously. I'm not really sure. So, how exactly? I'll just log out and see how it is actually. So test, log out, log in. So it's using basic auth to log into the lobsters thing, and so I guess I'm not going to be able to, or it wouldn't be easy to make it so that there would be a single sign-on for both the lobsters server and the matrix server. I don't know. Like, on the other hand, it could potentially be like that Veganbuddies would run its own matrix server that would be customized only to the extent that it supported the lobster server as an OAuth backend. And that would mean that it would need to be an OAuth backend that was capable of allowing the app, the Veganbuddies app, to sign in, and also used as an OAuth provider for Matrix. And I guess that's basically the same thing, isn't it? Well, OAuth works in that I'm gonna save this somewhere. Not workflow, just flow. So, and I'm not going to call it OAuth, I'm going to call it authentication. Authentication flows. Maybe just like authentication flows.xoj, and I'll put it in a new folder, design, and now I can create a page. I'm not sure how to do that. Like that, okay. And so need to upgrade the font a little bit. Go ahead and title this page I'm going to go and page, new page before, and I'm going to add authenticating as mentee, I guess is how you write it. So authenticating as mentee is really easy. Hopefully. there's only two moving parts. So there's so the page is going to have how do we do this? I don't want that to be bold. I want it to be regular 12. So basic auth plus OAuth, and it's just going to go to the matrix server and authenticate. And that's all that's necessary, because the geographic, like looking up the geographic location of the mentors is just done by like interaction with a bot. There's no need to authenticate with any like special Veganbuddies services. Anyone on the Matrix network can communicate with the bot. So it just authenticates with Matrix. In this case, it would be authenticating with matrix.org or our own special home server, like our Veganbuddies home server. I'm not really sure yet if I'm going to run my own home server, but theoretically that would be a good thing. And so I guess we can put that there. And yeah, so we're signed in like that. Authenticating as a mentor first. We connect to lobsters, and then we connect to Matrix. If we run our own home server, then we could connect to lobsters, and then, well, maybe it's a good thing to have two accounts, because like, what if somebody wants to reuse their old Matrix account, like for, I don't know if that's really a major use case. I think that's a minor use case. That they would use a different Matrix account, like they would have an existing Matrix account. That's obviously extremely minor use case. I'm not going to even think about that. But if the person starts out as a mentee, how would they become a mentor? Would they have to create a new account and perhaps lose all of their messages? That would be an interesting use case. And in that case, it would make sense to have the separate lobsters account, like the mentor account and the mentee account. And yeah, so basically two types of account, or yeah. So you have the two categories of account, a chat account and a mentor account. And basically authenticating as a mentor means that first you connect, or at some point you connect with the mentor account via lobsters, and then you tell lobsters about your chat account. I need to change the font size again. So we log into lobsters, we send the matrix nick to lobsters. Somewhere in the middle, we log into matrix, if not already logged in, perhaps. That's too big. That's probably too small. Okay. Something like that. Tell geographic user index. Okay. Save that. And now we need to think about, well, it's So it's a question, should we use OAuth to log into lobsters? That means that, like, the difference is when we use OAuth that the lobsters, that the person would type their password into the lobsters website rather than type their lobsters password into the Veganbuddies app. There's no security difference between the two because this lobster's instance will be controlled by us, and the Veganbuddies app will be controlled by us. And so there's no like change in security domain. And so basically it's necessary right now to add an API endpoint for setting matrix nick, and that API endpoint needs to be logged into somehow. So I guess the first question I'd have is, does Lobsters have an API? And I think it doesn't. I can try grepping at least. I'm not seeing so far anything that looks like an API. Doesn't mean that it doesn't exist here. I hate these blobs. Okay. So I'll try searching for REST. Don't see anything there. Now I can go to Lobster's GitHub. And see if I don't find something there. Maybe in the issues. Not sure how that came up with the from the search for API. Guess I'll start by looking. Okay, so this feature request is closed. I'd absolutely love to have a JSON API, blah blah blah. I haven't done any JSON exporting, mostly because the site already has a responsive mobile view that works fine on phones and small screens. Yeah, the mobile site is totally serviceable. However, I think a native app could still provide blah blah blah. Okay, I would add those two in. So, not sure. I don't understand Ruby on Rails, so awesome. It would also be possible. Would it also be possible to add the? Okay, so this is just exporting data, and here the person is showing their app. I don't see yet like whether the person's added the ability to comment. Okay, so they added the ability to reply. This means that it's likely that there is some kind of API available already. Okay, so this JCS is saying that they're looking into integrating an OAuth endpoint for Okay, so it seems. Wait, I'm confused. This is just linking back to the previous thread. And so now I guess I can look at the source code for this Lobster's app. this dead lobsters app and see how they were doing login, if they were doing login. Last updated 10 years ago, 9 years ago. That's quite a long time ago. And yeah, so the lobsters app, what's M? I don't actually even recognize that. What kind of language is that? Does it tell you? Objective-C? Objective-C uses... Maybe I can try searching for login. Sign. Okay. Reply. Seems like it wasn't ever implemented. Not sure about that. Okay. So this was the no. No. Okay, so still not seeing anything about like if the API was finished in any way or how the API works, if it's documented. Okay, so it doesn't appear that there's any like functional API here, and I'll continue in trying to figure out how to do this. I guess the next question that I would have is, like, if we use the OAuth workflow for logging into the Lobster thing, then it would allow for single sign-in in the future, so that Lobsters could support single sign-in, perhaps via Google or Facebook or some other OAuth provider. And that would allow for a quote-unquote unified experience with the Matrix backend. So that would like solve the single sign-in problem. That the person would log in with Facebook on Lobsters and the mentor, and log in with Facebook on to Matrix as a mentee or for the chat account, and they would feel like they had one account even though they actually had two accounts. And so it would be much better to allow Lobsters to work as an OAuth provider, or to use OAuth flow to log into the account. But I remember that like OAuth isn't even appropriate for logging into a mobile app, because OAuth uses a client secret that would be stored in an open source mobile app, And even if it's not open source, obfuscating that is pretty much impossible. And so, if I remember correctly, the only part of the flow that even like makes sense is that you request a special code from the page, and you get a redirect back to the app. And so, I guess the login flow can be for lobsters the very simple login flow of, so we have this app here, page, new page after, authenticating as a mentor. I don't know what this is going to copy, but I'll try it. So I copied that, and now I need to copy here this. And so this is going to, the app is going to open lobsters in a new window in browser. And lobsters is going to redirect to a URL that opens the app. And this is going to redirect via app link. Deep links. So an Android app link is a special type of deep link that allows your website URLs to immediately open the corresponding content in your Android app without requiring the user to select the app. Android app links use the digital asset list API to establish trust that your app has been approved by the website to automatically open links for that domain. If the system successfully verifies that you own the URLs, the system automatically routes those URL intents to your app. To verify that you own both your app and the website URLs, complete the following steps. Add intent filters that contain the auto-verify attribute. This attribute signals to the system that it should verify whether your app belongs to the URL domains used in your intent filters. And 2, declare the association between your website and your intent filters by hosting a digital asset links JSON file at the following location. Okay. Not really sure like where the link is set. So here auto verify is set in the intent filter, and I'm still not sure like how the link is set up, because we need to link from lobsters to, not link, but redirect from lobsters to the Veganbuddies app. So after you have confirmed the list of websites to associate with your app, and you have confirmed that the hosted ETHON file is valid, install the app on your device. Wait at least 20 seconds for the asynchronous verification process to complete. Use the following command to check whether the system verified your app and set the correct link handling policies. This is ridiculously complex. I'm still not sure like how the links work. I'm reading this and I'm looking for like what the link would be. Is the link some kind of special thing, like rather than HTTP it's veganbuddies : or what would the link be? Is it going to be some this documentation is actually quite useless in that regard, in the practical regard of trying to understand mobile deep linking. In the context of mobile apps, deep linking consists of using a uniform resource identifier (URI) that links to a specific location within a mobile app rather than simply launching the app. Deferred deep linking allows users to deep link to content even if the app is not already installed. Depending on the mobile device platform, the URL required to trigger the app may be different. So, unlike the web, where the underlying technology of HTTP and URLs allow for deep linking by default, enabling deep linking on mobile apps requires these apps to be configured properly to properly handle a URI. Just like a URL is an address for a website, a URL is the address for an app on a mobile device. Examples of URLs that launch a mobile app Twitter is the iOS, yeah. So in this case, it is doing what I thought. It's app name : / and well, that's not really telling me anything technical that much, but it's Wikipedia, so what do you expect? uBlock does not want me to visit that site, which is probably means that it's useless. I don't know. Would Microsoft be useful? No, that's something completely different. What I'm trying to do is figure out if there's a way to like really reliably link from the lobsters, like redirect from lobsters to to the Veganbuddies app, and do so in such a way that's so reliable that it's actually secure to send a JWT or something from lobsters to the Veganbuddies app. I guess the next question would be, how would yeah, so I guess if some other app were to if I would have a reliable way of linking from lobsters to the Veganbuddies app, and some other app, some malicious app or some website were to go and start the flow, then it would only redirect to the Veganbuddies app, so there would be no like loss of something. But if I didn't have a reliable way of doing that, then some other website could come along and like open up the authentication page and then it would redirect perhaps to their app, and they would get a JWT to lobsters instantaneously because the person was already logged into lobsters. That would be bad. So in a way, basic auth would actually be more secure than using this, but like unless that verified link thing is really like perfectly functional, which I'm not sure it is, then basic auth would be more secure actually, because it would require the Veganbuddies app to, like, the person would be typing their password, username and password into the Veganbuddies app, which they trust, and then lobsters would trust it because it was the correct credentials. And if it's the other way around, well, it just requires the verified link to really be 100%, or the app deep link. So I'm going to look this up again. Okay, I'm getting a little bit desperate. This always seems very, very complicated and like not very appealing. And it like I don't want to have it be like the redirect URL that says, "Do you want to open up this link with the Vegan Buddies app?" That would be really confusing. Like you press login, and then all of a sudden you get this warning message. Do you want to open this with Vegan Buddies? And you're just like, what? Um, What's the right OAuth 2 flow for a mobile app? I'm trying to implement delegated authorization in a web API for mobile apps using OAuth 2. According to the specification, the implicit grant flow does not support refresh tokens, which means once an access token... I'm confused. So I just got a notification that didn't make any sense. Anyways, so what's going on? Use a custom URI scheme, e.g. my app, when dereference triggers a registered handler. The details depend on the mobile platform. So it would so one way is, so OAuth, it has the same problem, the redirect URL, you redirect URI, and so they can show a code that then like, So the user would manually copy a code from the page to the app. The user would, the app would have a custom URI redirect. Okay, so it seems like basically this is entirely unsolved problem. It's so weird. Like, you'd think this would be the most basic thing in the world. The problem comes from when you realize that unlike a remote server URL, there is no reliable way to ensure that the binding between a given so this is from 2018, edited 2021, so it's relatively recent. There is no reliable way to ensure that the binding between a given redirect URI and a specific mobile app is honored. Any app on the device can try to insert itself into the redirect process and cause it to serve the redirect URI. And guess what? If you've used the implicit flow in your native application, then you just handed the attacker your access token. There's no recovery from that point. They've got the token and they can use it. And together with the fact that it does not let you refresh the access token, better to avoid it. Okay. Authorization code grant type. The authorization code grant requires a client secret, but you should not store sensitive information in the source code of your mobile app. People can extract them. To not expose the client secret, you have to run a server as a middleman, as Facebook writes. We recommend the app access tokens should only be used directly from your app's servers in order to provide the best security. For native apps, we suggest that the app communicates with your own server, and the server then makes the API request to Facebook using the app access token. Not an But how is the app supposed to authenticate itself with your server? Authorization code grant type with PKCE, proof key for code exchange. Out of the limitations, a new technique was created that let you use the authorization code without a client secret. You can read the full RFC or this short introduction. PKCE is a technique to secure public clients that don't use a client secret. It's primarily used by native and mobile apps, but the technique can be applied to any public client as well. It requires additional support by the authorization server, so it is only supported on certain providers. Everybody else is saying use a web view, which is no longer supported for obvious reasons. Okay, so what are the possibilities even? Seems like all of these options are terrible, and I'm just in shock that it's not easy to do this. So I guess for now, I'm going to use basic auth, and I can actually probably use basic auth without even requiring an API, without making any changes to lobsters. I can probably, so in the settings, I can set an about, and like the about could contain the matrix nix, but I think that it's better to try to figure out how to like add a field. Like, I don't know Ruby on Rails, but it can't be that difficult, can it, to add one field to this and just like submit the stupid form, as a post, and not use basic auth to log into the Lobster server from the app, and then submit the form as a post. That can't be so difficult. Does that mean that we're going to be saving the username and password, the Lobster's username and password, to the Okay, maybe it shouldn't be step 1, it should be step 2. So basically the second step. So we're not going to do this. So I'm going to cross it out. I'm not going to delete it. I'm going to cross it out because I want to write here. Unfortunately, it seems that secure redirect is impossible. Maybe. So we have one page that claims that secure redirect is possible, and one that says that it's not possible. And the one that says that it is possible is so complicated that I didn't understand it at all. Or it just seemed like overwhelmingly difficult. So that says it's impossible, and according to Google, Android app link verified. So maybe it's possible, maybe not, but it doesn't seem very promising. And then, so if it's impossible, then step 1, log in with Matrix. And then step 2, so basically the person logs in with Matrix, and then they have a button somewhere that is, I am a mentor. And then it asks for your mentor username and password. So I'm going to cross this out. No, I'm just going to delete it. So just delete all of this. Step 1. Step 1, same as logging in. Logging has 2 G's, right? Step 2. So if I go back to the Veganbuddies webpage, my profile, maybe? My profile? This should be translated to English at some point. Maybe it'll just be a link right in the main menu, and the link, I think maybe, I think that maybe on the GitHub I have a link to that. I need to close Telegram before I do live streams. Do I not have a link to the wireframe? I need to add the link to the wireframe here somewhere, so that it's easy for me to find. In any case, I think that it'll just be like you log in. First, you're forced to log in to Matrix, and then once you're logged in, you'll have the option to say that you're a mentor, and then you'll log in again. Like connect mentor account or something like that. Okay, so I'm quite confused as to why Telegram was showing that notification, because I turned off Telegram notifications intentionally. And so I guess I should just uninstall the Telegram desktop application, because obviously it's not well written or trustworthy. Step 2, so there's going to be a menu. I should make this like, so you press the hamburger menu. And so you have like my profile, mentor login, something like that. You have this menu, and you press the mentor login. And it says and it'll be like username and password. Okay, so then once it has logged in, it'll go and do basic auth to the Lobster server. I guess I'll put that in a box. And then the next step set matrix nick. Tell geographic index about change. Okay, So in that case, the only change that I need to make to lobsters is, so I don't even need to add an API. We're going to do it via post, a form post. And the only change, I don't even technically need to make that change. But I don't even need to make that change, but when I I would need to add the field. Yeah, I got distracted by the phone call and lost my train of thought. So I guess from this roadmap, so I had created two things that I needed to do. I needed to add the API endpoint for setting the matrix nick, and I needed to set up an auth server. And so I'm going to move this to rejected, and I'm going to write rejected for now, and then this. So settings, and so save account settings. What if I do inspect and network, and I do that? So what just happened? We got, okay, so there's this post, two settings, request contains a token, and okay, so that should be pretty simple. These are all just fields. I'm not sure where the authenticity token is coming from. That's going to be the difficult thing, is that so you log in with basic auth, and you'll have to load this page, scrape the authenticity token. So you log in with basic auth, you save whatever the session cookie is, load this page, scrape the authenticity token, post again, right? View page source. Yeah, so there's this hidden authenticity token. Different one for each form, and you need to scrape the right one in order to post to this. If you don't want to, if you want to do all the changes just in the app and not be modifying the Lobster source code too much. Okay. So you would look up the form ID edit user. Or wait, no? Yes? Yeah. Okay, so you need to get the page, look up the form ID edit user. Log out. Okay. Log in. Is there going to be an authenticity token here as well? View page source. Yeah, so that's quite a few steps. You first log in, then you first get, you scrape, you post, you get, you scrape, you post. Scrape. What? Why is it undoing things? Uh-huh. Okay. So 6-step process for setting the matrix nick. And now if I'm going to use this method, I'm not really convinced this is the best method, but if I am going to use this method, then I don't need to make any changes to the lobster source code except for adding the matrix nick field, perhaps a list field, or perhaps just a string. I don't think spaces are allowed in matrix nicks. Maybe just a string, list separated. So I'm not really finding immediately what the format for matrix nicks are, but maybe if I go to app.element.io and create an account, I can just test. Some characters not allowed. Use lowercase letters, numbers, dashes, and underscores only. Okay, so spaces are not allowed. So I can just create a text field on this page, on the settings page, that is the matrix nicks. Okay, so how do I do that? Obviously, I've never programmed anything with Ruby on Rails before. App, models, user, about. So really confused by this whole setup. Like, it's completely different from Django. Validates, length, I'll just put 4,000. Presume that didn't do anything. So I guess I would start by just grepping for about and see like how it's like where all it's manipulated with. So because the about field has a field in that form, and so it must be somehow added manually somewhere. About controller. Okay. So the about controller obviously is not settings controller, maybe. Yeah, this looks very, very promising now. So, matrix nix. I'll try adding the matrix nix here. Nothing happened. Do I need to like shut down the page or something? I didn't see anything about like migrations when I searched for about, but maybe that's because I was searching only Ruby files. So I'm going to try. So there's fixtures. Schema, DB schema. That seems somewhat promising. Okay, so we've now added that here, and I don't know what needs to be done in order to like get the migrations to run, or if they're run automatically or what, since I don't know Ruby on Rails at all. I don't see any new field here though. I'm really confused. Like, I would have thought that this field would have appeared since I added it to the controller and everything. And yet I don't see anything. So I'm gonna search for homepage to see if I'm not just like searching wrong somehow. Settings controller, matrix nix. Okay. Wait, did schema get updated? Did schema get rewritten? Is schema an automatically generated file? Because I'm pretty sure I just added to the schema the matrix nix field, and it's nowhere to be found there. I'm going to have to learn something about Ruby on Rails in order to do this. What is an active model? Active model is a library containing various modules used in developing classes that need some features present on active records. Some of these models are explained below. Active Model API adds the ability for a class to work with action. So I need to figure out what's application record. Active Record Basics. This guide is an introduction to Active Record. After reading this guide, you will know what an object relational mapping and active record are and how they are used in Rails, how Active Record fits into the model view controller paradigm, how to use Active Record models to manipulate data stored in a relational database, Active Record schema naming conventions. So I don't need to probably learn about what MVC is because I already know that. Naming conventions, I don't care at all about naming conventions. I'm making a quick change, and it looks like the snake case thing that I chose is actually what they want. And so, creating active record models. To create active record models, subclass the application record class, and you're good to go. This will create a product model mapped to a products table at the database. By doing this, you'll also have the ability to map the columns of each row in that table with the attributes of the instance of your model. Suppose that the products table was created using SQL, or one of its extension statement like create table blah blah blah. The schema above declares a table with two columns, ID and name. Each row of this table represents a certain product with these two parameters. Thus you would be able to write code like the following: p equals product.new, p.name. So basically, I should be defining the table in the SQL database and not in the model class. Okay, that's an important thing to understand. Yeah. So now I need to find out, like, how the schema SQL database is even generated. Because obviously the home page, for example, column exists. And so it has to come from somewhere, right? It has to have gotten into the database somehow. Now I'm really confused because I don't see anything in this grep showing like where it was coming from, where that field came from. And here there's like some kind of type store in user.ruby that's storing the home page, but I don't see it storing the about section. I'm going to go ahead and delete this. So schema.rb is homepage isn't in schema.rb either. Seeds. That's probably for testing. There's a bunch of migrations that look to be automatically generated. Migrations are a convenient way for you to alter your database in a structured and organized manner. You could edit fragments of SQL by hand, but you would then be responsible for telling other developers that they need to go and run them. You'd also have to keep track of which changes need to be run against the production machines next time you deploy. Active Record tracks which migrations have already been run, so all you have to do is update your source and run rake db migrate. Active Record will work out which migrations should be run. It will also update your db schema.rb file to match the structure of your database. So that's why the schema.rb file got changed, is that it automatically updates that schema.rb file. And I need to create a migration that will update the database schema. The question I have, though, is why is schema.rb actually in Git? Checked into Git. I think it is checked into Git, which is confusing. Like, if it's an automatically generated file. Maybe that's just an oversight on their part. DB, it is checked into Git, right? Yeah, it is. Interesting. Anywho, so migrations are stored as files in the dbmigrate directory, one for each migration class. The name of the file is of the form. So I guess basically you create migrations using this like automated script thing, this Rails command, and then it like creates the migrations, and then it creates a schema.rb file that allows you to see what your schema is. But that schema is a read-only file that only allows you to like look at what the status of things are. Okay. That is to say, a UTC timestamp identifying the migration followed by an underscore following the name followed by the name of the migration. The name of the migration class, camel case version, should match the latter part of the file name. For example, blah 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 should define class create products, and blah 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 should define add details to products. If you feel the need to change the file name, then you have to update the name of the class inside, or Rails will complain about a missing class. Internally, Rails only uses the migration's number, the timestamp, to identify them. Prior to Rails 2.1, the migration number started at 1 and was incremented each time a migration was generated. With multiple developers, it was easy for these to clash, requiring you to roll back migrations and renumber them. With Rails 2.1, this is largely avoided by using the creation time of the migration to identify them. You can revert to the old numbering scheme by adding the following line, blah blah blah. So if the migration name is of the form add xxx to yyy or remove xxx from yyy and is followed by a list of column names and types, then a migration containing the appropriate add column and remove column statements will be created. Okay, so it's like parsing the name of the migration. Okay, so basically I want to run the command Rails generate migration add matrix nix to users part matrix nix in snake case rather than camel case colon string. Okay, I'll try that. Where do I even try that? So I'll go in docker ps docker exec minus it Rails not found. So I'm trying to figure out like what I need to do to my path to make it so that Rails will be there, like the Rails utility. Mm-hmm. So I'm very curious what's going to... So I've done that, and now I need to know how to run the migrations. Do I need to run the migrations? Yeah, I do. I think they wrote up here that you should do rake db migrate. I don't know if that can be done when it's running or if I need to shut down the server, but I'm just going to try it. Bundle exec rake db migrate. Okay. And let's see if still nothing. Okay, I'm gonna try shutting down the server and loading it up again to see if like maybe my schema doesn't get reloaded. So I see that, right, a new migration has been added. Going to go ahead and stage that. Not sure what this is. I'm going to consider that to be probably unimportant. Yeah, I remember that some of these files So settings controller, I added the matrix NIC thing, and these changes, and schema.rb, I now have a new string matrix NICs in the settings. But I still don't have matrix NICs here. Why don't I? I have about, I have homepage. So I'm gonna try searching for homepage again. This time using the capital. I see. So it's actually like the forms aren't generated automatically like in Django, or at least not in this application. I guess I should not use a text area. I should use it. Maybe I'll put it. I'll put it here right after homepage. Okay, and like that. Save account settings. It thinks it should be a URL because I said it's a URL field. And do I have another field that I can use as a reference? Email address, that would be an email field. Password would be a password field. Maybe text field. Settings updated successfully. And now I need to update the public profile so that, but I need to actually make it so that there's an ESON API. I'm not going to be parsing this. That's just ridiculous that I would parse it. I think I need to make it like accessible via some ESON API or JSON API. I'm sorry, I'm speaking Czech. I need to make it accessible via JSON API to find out the matrix NICs. And so next time I will be adding a single endpoint to get this. Hey, there's already a JSON endpoint. So maybe I can do that today. Not really sure what I should be searching for to find out, like, I think I'm going to look at the controllers. I think it might be in the controllers somewhere. Or app views, maybe? Users. Show. This is clearly HTML. Okay. So I'm not seeing, like, if where this JSON thing is, where the fields for this JSON output is defined. Maybe it's in stats? No. That appears to... That appears to be stats on all users. And it's obviously not just like a list of all fields because it's listing the home page. And it's missing the new field, the matrix users field. So it must be actually manually defined somewhere. Okay. So that added the matrix nix. It did not add the home page. That's interesting. Maybe it's not setting the home page because the home page is not set. Wait, it is set, so why would that would make sense. Well, that's not important. That I need to add. So we created a new migration. We added the matrix nix, a field to the settings. We added matrix nix to the ESON endpoint. And finally, I'm going to go and add to the okay, and now I need to move this document from the black hole to the docs. I need to add a directory first. Why not? Typo. Okay, so now that I've done that, I should be able to start committing things. And I have to commit things in a certain order because I'm not working with one Git repo, not working with 2 Git repos. I'm working with 3 Git repos all stacked on top of each other. So go ahead and commit that. I don't know if that change is actually necessary. So probably going to commit schema as well since they have it in the database already. And we've added the matrix nix field to the user. Now I need to go up 1 Git repository and commit and now go up yet another repository and I need to actually rename that. To setting and getting matrix nick. And now wait, I need to add design as well. Or I guess I'll unstage the design thing for now. Maybe I'll unstage. Maybe I'll actually. It doesn't matter. I'll unstage this and I guess I'll just stage everything together. It's a big commit, but whatever. Okay, super. So I've made that change and that will be the end of the broadcast. So next week I will be doing another stream on Tuesday at 6 p.m. And since I've finished the changes to the Lobsters server, what I'm going to be working on next is I'm going to be working on the Rust program. I'll either be working on the Rust program, the matrix bot, or I will be working on getting the Lobster server running on some infrastructure. And that would depend on how much time I have, because I have to do that. I have to set up the infrastructure privately, obviously, because I can't be like typing in passwords on the live stream. Okay, so see you next week. And it was I think that was a productive stream, though rather long.